Okay, good to talk, everyone. As we are dedicated by A.B. Spry for the safety of the soldiers and for the safety of Klal Yisrael, the recovery of the hostages, and the refuah of those that are injured, especially Yisuzeb and Yuta. Also, it is his mother's yahrzeit, so we learn Lili Nishmas Esther Pesel Bas Yitzchak. Her neshama should have an aliyah. She should be a Melitzas Yaisha for her family, for all of Klal Yisrael. We're dedicated by Irving Fishbaum for his Gesundnis Ben Rezel, and Lili Nishmas Carol, his wife's mother, Chaya Fega Bas Yoshua Mordechai. Her neshama should have an aliyah. We also sponsored by Shimon Klein, Lili Nishmas, Asher Anshel Ben Yehuda, Gittel Bas Shimon Pinchas, from Aishver, Avigdoraya Ben Rivka, Meir Ben Chayesara. I heard Reb Ruvain is home. We'll continue to learn for him. Shalom Ruvain Ben Shima. They should have a refuah shalema, V'seich Shar Chayli Yisrael. We are welcoming in this evening A.B. Spry, Nachman Chapler, Irving Fishbaum, Stephen Holtzman, Aaron Swade, Rabbi Kranz. We welcome in Menachem Umansky, Shimon Klein, Michael, Eddie Chazan, Yitz Fuchs, Bruce Eisenberg, and Baruch Hashem, we have back here Reb Elia Yafi, who we've been missing tremendously. Moshe Lehman, Ilya Shutman, Chaim Braun, Shelley Zeitlin just got in under the wire. We have Abba Steinhauser, David Helfgott, on Karl Loshin here in the shul, holding down the fort here at Agud Yisrael Beizev. We have Berish Gesseman and Blumenfeld. It's great to have you here, and you could come in, Shesh. My wife is bringing me a coffee. Thank you very much. Yeah, unbelievable. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. The Berish brought me. Thank you. Amen. Oh, we got Yossi Tov sneaking in over here on Facebook. By the way, you should know, mentioning Yossi Tov, if any of you have fond memories of the Stiebelhoppers and the Challen song and Kivi and Tuki, you could get now USB of all Country Yossi's productions. It's really could have hours and hours and hours of delight and relaxation while you're traveling. That's if you don't have the head, of course, to listen to my shiurim. But no, it's really, if you haven't heard Country Yossi, he has beautiful lyrics and really, really moving stuff. Probably in farm stores. Yeah. Okay, so we are holding on Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis, 3 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Beis Amud Beis, and the Gemara asks that we said that Rabbi Akiva holds that in the event that there is a penalty of kaifer, the husband does not inherit his wife. So the Gemara says that's only in the case of death. Ubenizakin lo yama Rabbi Akiva, and by nizakin, by damages, Rabbi Akiva holds that the husband does inherit the wife. Well, Tanya, hikas isha v'yatz yuladeh, if somebody hits a woman and she miscarries, so noisen nezek v'tzar leisha, the damages and the pain is paid to the woman. Udemei v'ladis, but the compensation for the fetus goes l'bal, to the husband. Ein abal, if the husband is not alive, noisen liyoshev, we give it to his ears. Ein ha'isha, if the woman is not alive, noisenes liyorshet, we give it to her ears and not to the husband. If she was a maidservant that was recently emancipated, so we know that she's like a newborn babe, she's like a Gershonish guy that doesn't have any relative, or if she was a convert, or Giyaris, and she was damaged, and she dies, so then Zacha, then the one that assaulted her, merits to get it because she doesn't have any relatives, right? Gershonish guy doesn't have any relatives, and a shivcha that is emancipated doesn't have any relatives. But the question is, here you see, even by damages, it says that if the woman dies, it goes to her Yoshim, it doesn't go to her husband. Rabbah, so Rabbah says, no, really it would go to the husband, but it's talking about begrusha, with a divorcee. So the Gemara says, but if it's talking about a divorcee, then why does it say that the Mevladis goes to the husband? If they're not married, then they should split it. Imre Grusha Nami, Tiflik bid Mevladis, she should get 50% of the value of the fetus. So here the Gemara says a very big chiddush. The value of the fetus is awarded to the husband that sired the fetus, even if he had an affair with a single woman. Even if it was, so we'll say, well, then it should be split between him and her. They share the fetus. No. The Torah awards the value of the fetus to the husband, even if they had a fling. Now the Gemara says, why? Shouldn't it be split? My timer. So the Gemara bases it on the verse, as is placed upon them by the husband of the woman. The Mevladis goes solely and exclusively to the husband. So now the Gemara says, well, couldn't we answer this in another way? And now we have to know that a Bechar, a firstborn, as we welcome in Abe Arbach, and we welcome in also Richard Rosenzweig. I guess couldn't get his way to his computer. Maybe it's a little messy in the house and he can't find the computer. But when you find it, Richard, please come and join us on Zoom. The Gemara tells us elsewhere that a Bechor gets a double portion, but he only gets a double portion in Muzik, that which is in the estate at the time of the father's death. Roi, what is owed to the estate, he doesn't get a double portion. Now, what about the debtors that owed money to the father? So here we have an interesting machlokes. There's one opinion that if they pay with money, so then that's not considered mulzik, because that's not the actual money that was loaned, it's other money, and therefore that's not something that was in the estate but came afterwards, and he doesn't get a double portion. That's called roy. But if it's karka, if he's paid with real estate, since the lien existed while the father was alive, therefore that's considered mulzik, and he gets a double portion. That's one opinion. There's a reverse opinion that, to the contrary, if it's money, we view it as the original money that was loaned, and that's considered mulzik, and he gets a double portion. If it's real estate, he's getting different than he gave. He gave money, and now he's getting real estate. That's considered roy, and he doesn't get a double portion. So the Gemara says, with this information, we could have explained this brisa differently. We could have explained, you know why the husband over here does not inherit his wife by damages? Because according to the one that says real estate is considered something that was there before because there's a lien, it's talking about we was paid with money. And therefore, it's roy, and the husband is not Yerush his wife in the case of roy. And according to the opinion that money is considered mulzik, because that's what he loaned. Over here, where we're saying that there was damages, so neither money or real estate would be considered mulzik, and that's why the husband is not Yerush. That's the way Taisus learns that side of it. But anyway, says the Gemara, V'nukba Rabba, why do we have to say it's talking about where they were divorced? Say, according to Rabba, Kagain Shagavu Mais, where for the damages, money was collected. And money is not considered mulzik. Only karka is considered mulzik because there was a lien on it. But money is not considered mulzik. Or Rav Nachman Kagain Shagavu Karka, because that's not what was given as a loan, and as Taisus explains over here, since there was a loan, neither karka or money would be considered mulzik, and that's why the husband is not Yerush. In the case of where the father was a creditor, if after death karka was collected, then a bechor gets a double portion because there was a pre-existing loan and it's considered mulzik. Gavamais, but if money was collected, that's not the original money that's loaned, and then that's something that comes only after death, and therefore he doesn't get a double portion. Rav Nachman Amar, to the contrary, Gavamais Yeshla, because we could view that as the original money that the father gave as a loan, so that's considered mulzik. But Gavu Karka, which comes afterwards, ain't. So here also we could say that it's talking about the reason why the husband is not Yerush, because it's talking about something, a payment that's not considered mulzik, elaroy. So the Gemara says, Imrei Hani Mili Lebnei Marav. That's according to the people of the West, the people of Eretz Yisrael, that said that it's not that which is loaned is not always considered mulzik. But Ali Lebnei Marav Ali B'Drabanan Ki Kamri Hachi Karebi. Rebbe holds that which is owed is considered always, since it's pre-existing from before death, it's considered mulzik. So over here also the damages that were owed before death is considered mulzik, and therefore the husband should be Irish, and therefore we'll learn it's talking about a divorce, and that's why the husband doesn't get the damages. Now, Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Shor shehemis esa eved, a shor that kills an eved shaloi b'kavana. Here's an interesting thing. The animal killed the eved, but he didn't intend to kill the eved. He was intending to kill an animal, and he killed the eved. So the key is over here is that the shor is not put to death. And therefore, since the shor is not put to death, it's the position of Reish Lakish that pater shloishim shkalim. He's pater from the knas of 30 shkalim, because Reish Lakish connects the knas to the death of the shor. Shenemar kesef shloishim shkalim yitein la'adainav. You give 30 shkalim as a knas to the owner of the eved, v'ashar yisakim, and therefore it's linked to if we stone the shar. If we stone the shar, the owners pay 30 shkalim. Ein ashar b'skila, but if we don't stone the shar, then the owner doesn't pay 30 shkalim, he doesn't pay the knas. Now, Amar Rabba, shar shehemis ben chayrin shaloi b'kavana. So here we have a shar, and it's obviously a shar amuid if we're talking about kaifer, but it kills a ben chayrin not intending to kill the ben chayrin. It intended to kill an animal. So pater mikaifer. And it's talking about a situation where it became a mu'id, but it became a mu'id, it's not yet liable to death. Let's say it's talking about a case where you didn't have to aid him, you only had one aid, but this time it killed without kavana, pater mikaifer. Why? Shenemar hashor yisakel, the shor is stoned, v'gam ba'olav yumos, im kaifer yushas olav. So you see, again, linking the payment of kaifer, the payment of the ransom, to the shar being stoned. Calls man shtar b'skila, baila mishalm kaifer. Ein ashar b'skila, but if the shar is not stoned, ein baila mishalm kaifer. Now, before we go further, I want to talk to you about an interesting thing. Remember, kaifer is a ransom given as a kapara because the shar amuad killed someone. And it's given a kapara for the owner of the ox. And we actually had a shiloh, how do we assess kaifer? Do we say he pays the value of the one that he damaged? Or do we say he pays his own value because he's ransoming himself? But now the Gemara is going to do an analysis, as we welcome in Sandy Grunfeld and Shimon. That must be Shimon Der. We have two Shimons here. We have Shimon Klein and Shimon Der. Welcome, Shimon. Now the Gemara does an analysis. If you don't pay kaifer, do you still have to pay dumim? Do you still have to pay monetary payment? Because after all, you sure killed someone. So even if there isn't the kaifer, which is a kapara, as we welcome in Nachan Rosenman, and remember everybody on Facebook, you could join us on Zoom. Just go on your computer to zoomdaf.com. Zoomdaf is one word, zoomdaf.com, and you'll come and join us live in our Zoom family. Now, so Eisvei Abaya, hey Miss Shoiri es Pliny. Now remember, this is when a person is maida about his shar, then his shar is not put to death. That's a special din. Executing the shar is a knas, and therefore, if you admit it by your own admission, then the shar is not put to death. So Eisvei Abaya, hey Miss Shoiri es Pliny. Oy Shoiri shel Pliny. If a person confesses that my ox killed so-and-so, or my ox killed the ox of so-and-so, harizeh mishalem al piatzmai, he has to pay by his own confession. Now, this seems to be a big problem because we said where we don't stone the ox, you don't pay kaifer. And here, we don't stone the ox because he was maida, and yet it says he has to pay. My lav kaifer, says the Gemara, loy damim. Even though he's exempt from kaifer, but he has to pay the value. Now that might be different than kaifer, because kaifer might be the value of the mazik, where here he's paying the value of the nizik. As we welcome in Naftali for our 23rd Zoomer of this young evening, as people are arriving late, says the Gemara, Idamim, and if you're just joining us in progress, we are 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph. Says Gemara, Idamim, if we're talking about value, Amos Sefer, Hamish Shoiri es Avdoi, if he admits that my shar killed an avid, shall pliny Eina Mishalem al Piatzma. Because of course the 30 shkalim that you pay for the avid is a knas, and if he's mighty, he's potter. But but if it means the value, even if he's potter from the knas, why doesn't he have to pay for the value of the slave? Amaylai. So Amalei, so he says, look, Yochilna lishnuyelach, I could answer you. Reisha damim, in the Reisha where it says chayiv, it's talking about value. The Sefer knas, and when it says you're potter by the eved, it's talking about being potter from the knas. But that's a real daichik teretz. I'm not going to give you a daichik teretz. Rather, ID v'ID damim. But now, the Gemara takes out the Talmudic scalpel and splits hairs. Why by kaifer, if you don't pay kaifer because the accident put to death, you pay damim, but by an eved, you don't pay value. And now the Gemara explains as follows. This is very fascinating. As we're already starting, Men Gimel Amid Beis, at least starting at a pretty rapid pace. And by the way, I have good news for you. The Mishnah Yomis in Yevamis tonight is not hard. The Mishnah Yomis on Friday was a humdinger, as you would call it. Out there, you see that Aaron is nodding his head. Yeah, that was a real interesting Mishnah Yomis, but it's a lot easier now. Says the Gemara, Miu ben Chayrim, a free man, the Mishalim Kofar al Piatzmai. We could have a case where it pays Kofar al Piatzmai. Now that's going to be tricky to set up, because it's going to be that even though he was Maida, we still put the shar to death, because otherwise there's no Kofar. Now how does that happen? We need a candidate over here, a bad guy. Who are we going to use as our bad guy tonight? I mean, Mark isn't here. Marshall isn't here. I mean, who's going to be?
I guess I'm back.
No, I think Bruce is right in the center, and he's looking guilty, having not been here Thursday night, nor Wednesday, nor Tuesday, nor Monday. So, of course, he's trying to do better. But anyway, Bruce's axe, he admits. Now, here's what happened. Okay, Shimon could be the one that's being damaged. So, well, actually, it's a case of killing somebody, so we'll use Chatzkel. So, Bruce's ox killed Chatzkel. What's the case? What happened is Dr. Guy and Rabbi Kranz testified that Bruce's ox killed Chatzkel. However, they don't know if it was a tam or a mu'id. They just knew it killed. So they can't be mechayiv kofar. Right? But what happens is the iyasa sadei v'asidu bei the kotel. As I said, Dr. Guy and Rabbi Kranz say that Bruce's axe killed Chatzkel, but v'lo yodei, we don't know itam have imuid have, if it was a tam or a muid, and Bruce comes along and says it was a muid. V'amar mari the muidhu. So the bottom line is the axe is put to death, because they testified the axe killed someone. So it wasn't under Bruce's admission. But he admitted that it was a mu'id, thereby being mechayiv himself kofar. So we find a scenario, the mishalim kofar al piatzmai. So then, heicha deleka edim, where there are no witnesses at all, mishalim damim. Then, when he confesses and the ox is not put to death, he pays value. But gabe eved she'ena mishalim knas al piatzmai. By an Eved, he doesn't pay a knas al piatzma. V'echidami. The also edim, if witnesses come and testify about Bruce's axe that it killed an Eved. V'asida bei dekotel. However, we don't know if it was a tam or a mu'id. V'lo yodei tam have a mu'id have. V'amar Maria, and Bruce admits that it was a mu'id. V'amar Maria mu'idhu. So there, the bottom line is he's still being moida b'knas. He's being made of a knas because now it's a mu'id, he has to pay the knas. Loi mishtalim knas al piatzmai. So therefore, since he never pays the knas al piatzmai, therefore, heicha deleka edim, where there's no witnesses, so that the shor is not put to death, loi mishalim damim. He doesn't pay damim. And therefore, there's no damim there's no payment of value by an eved where we don't put the shor to death. So the Gemara is not taking this sitting, as we are, if you're just joining us, 3 lines into the wide lines on Daf Mem Gimel Amid Beis. And it is a pretty intricate Gemara, this Gemara. Moshe Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. So Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak asks, it seems to say that kol shechayev beben chayrin chayev be'eved. Whatever you're chayiv by a free man, you're chayiv by an eved, bein b'kofar, bein b'misa. Both kofar and Misa. Says the Gemara, now, the Misa is there's no kaifer by an Eved. Because if you kill an Eved, there's a knas of 30 shkalim. There's no kaifer. So what does it mean? The kaifer be'eved miyika el lav domim. So here we see that by an Eved, where the shor is not put to death, there is a payment of value, contrary to what we just said. So the Gemara says, no, I'm going to explain to you what this means. It means something else. Iked Amrei, some say, Hu moisav lo v'hu mefarak lo. He asked the question and he answered it himself. And Iked Amrei, Amal le Rabba, Rabba explains what this cryptic comment means. Hachi ketani. Kol shechayev beben chayrin bekavona al pi edim kaifer. Wherever you're chayev by a ben chayrim, where the animal intended to kill, so it's put to death, you're chayev kaifer. Chayev be'eved knas. You're chayev by an eved knas. V'kol shechayev beben chayrim shaloik bekavona al pi edim damim. Where you're chayev by a free man, where the axe killed shaloi bekavona, so that it's not put to death. Al pi edim damim, with his witnesses, you have to pay value, right? You don't pay kaifer because the axe is not put to death because it didn't intend to kill, it intended to kill an animal, so you pay value. Chayiv be'eved shaloi bekavona, if by an eved, the axe gored the eved thinking to gore another animal, al pi edim, there you pay value. But where the owner admits, you never pay value. Amalei Rava, so Rava counters, Ihachi, if so, Ishay shaloi bekavana al pi edim. If your fire escapes from your property and kills someone, in other words, you didn't intend to kill the person, if your fire escapes from your property with witnesses, shaloi bekavana, not with the intent to kill, nishalim damim, you should pay value. Says the Gemara, why do you make it sound that you don't? Yeah, you should pay value. If your fire escaped and it killed someone, you should pay value. How do you know you don't? If there was a eved tied up, the eved samach loy, if there was a goat tied up, the eved samach loy, and an eved nearby, v'nisraf imay, and it was burnt with it, chayiv, you're chayiv. Now, obviously, you're not chayiv on the eved in that case, because the eved could have ran away. It means you're chayiv for the goat. Eved kafaslai, if there's an eved tied up, ugedi samachlai, and a goat nearby, v'nisraf imay, and it got burned, potter. Now you're potter for the gedi because it could have ran away, and you're potter for the eved. But why are you potter for the eved? It must be that you didn't intend that the eved should be burned, and there's no chayiv for domim with shaloi bekavana. Says, no, the reason why you're potter for paying for the eved tied up is because you lit the eved with a homicidal intent. And you're potter from paying with the eved because of kamlei ramine. You lit the fire directly on the body of the eved. So since you're chayiv misa for killing the eved, the kamlei ramune. Therefore, you're exempt from monetary payment. So you don't have a raya that isha shaloi bekavana, you don't pay damim. The Ella, oh boy, I'm not letting people in. Sorry, Yitzi, I didn't see you knocking on the door. And sorry, Marshall, I didn't hear you ringing the bell. Welcome to Marshall and to Yitzi Muller. Probably they forgot the time. It's we haven't met since Thursday, so it's a long time ago. But as I say on this share, better late than never. and it's great to have you. Let me tell you where we're up to, really in an intricate piece over here. We are holding on Mem Gimel Amid Beis, 11 lines into the wide lines. 11 lines into the wide lines on Mem Gimel Amid Beis. And Mem Gimel Amid Beis is Gam L'Rabbis. Gam Ach is L'Mayit and Gam is L'Rabbis. It's Marba even Marshall. You have a nice tongue, Marshall. Harrison Kletzel has just joined us. Good to have you, Harrison. So anyway, says the Gemara, how do we know that Ishoy Shaloi B'Kavana is potter from paying for value? Ve'ela mehadis sanya chaymer be'eish mi'babar. Eish is more severe than bar. Sha'eish mu'edes lechol bein davar arayla bein davar she'ein arayla. Eish, you have to pay for something that's fit for it, something that's combustible, or even for something that's not fit, which remember we said is a case of lichicha nirai, where it licks up a plowed field, or it scorches somebody's designer rocks. So it pays even for that which is not right. Mashen came a bar, because the bar can't damage designer rocks or somebody's plowed field. But why doesn't it say this difference? That if a fire escapes and kills somebody, that you pay value, Ma'ashen came babar, which is not true in bar, because remember, bar is not chayiv for human loss of life. It says shar v'lo adam, like Ketani. It doesn't say that. So the Gemara says that's still no raya. Dilma ton of Vishaya, because maybe it's not an exhaustive list. Ella, rather, the Gemara says this is actually a shaila of Ravas. He's not sure what the din is by Eish. Ella Rava gufe iboy miboyle. Rava himself had this inquiry. Isha shaloi b'kavana. If a fire escapes, in other words, he doesn't set the fire to burn somebody. It escapes and burns somebody without intent. What's the din? This is his own shaila. Rava gufe iboy miboyle. Isha shaloi b'kavana. Mi mishalim damim oiloi. Does it pay value or not? Mi amrin on gabe sharhu de bekavana mishalim kaifer. Where there was intent to kill, he pays kaifer. Shaloi bekavana. We intended to kill an animal and he killed a human. Mishalim damim. Aval ishai. But fire. De bekavana loy mishalim kaifer. If you intended to burn someone, you don't pay kaifer, because if you intended to burn someone, you're put to death. And it's kam leib ramine. Shaloi bekavana nami loy mishalim damim. Oidilma came in the gabe shayre shaloi bekavana. Afal gav the leka kaifer. Show without kavana, even though there's no kaifer payment. Mishalim damim gabe ishay nami. Afal gav the bekavana loy mishalim kaifer. With his intent, you don't pay kaifer. But shaloi bekavana with his no intent, miya mishalim damim. Maybe it pays value. V'lo yadina, we don't know. And teku, this is a question that we leave for Mashiach Tishbi Yataris. Kushis v'yibais, yes.
In a normal case, where you pay kofar, you also pay damin. Is that true?
No, kofar supplants the damin.
And it's always more than damin?
It's not necessarily. If according to the opinion that says kofar is the value of the mazik, it could be significantly less.
So the Torah is saying we don't worry so much about the compensation.
Right. In that case, we don't worry about compensation.
They get what they
Yeah, the Rishonim say that.
Yeah.
Now, 2 dots, 13 lines from the bottom of Mem Gimel Beis as we welcome in Harrison Kletzel, and another person is coming in. These people are making Marshall look veritably early. Unbelievable. This is Nochem. Anyway, welcome, and that's Nachman Chapler. Okay, we are holding, as I said, by the two dots. Ki Aser Avdimi Amar Rab Yochanan. It says, it could have just said Kaifar Yushas Alav. Why does it say Im Kaifar Yushas Alav? So Ki Aser Avdimi Amar Rab Yochanan Kaifar Matam Alayim Im Kaifar. L'Rabbis Kaifar Shaloi B'Kavana Ki Kaifar B'Kavana. This opinion of Rabbi Yochanan is not like we had above. Above we said that in the event that the shark killed Shloi B'Kavana, it was aiming for an animal and it killed a human. Since it's not put to death, there's no kaifer. Here, Rabbi Yochanan says we learn from the extra im to tell me that even if it's done without intention and it's not put to death, there's still a penalty of kaifer. And we learn that out from the extra im. So the Gemara says, so Abaye counters, then we should say the same thing by an Eved. Amalei Abaye Elamiyata Eved Nami. By an Eved also, Matam Leimer Im Eved. It says also over there Im. Shouldn't it be L'Ravis Eved Shaloi B'Kavana Ke Eved B'Kavana? And to tell us that if the Eved is killed by a shark that was not aiming for the Eved, he was aiming for an animal, there still should be the Knas of Shloshim Shkalim. V'chi Teimach Enami, and maybe he'll say, well, that's the case. But v'amarei shlokish shoshem, it says Eved Shaloi B'Kavana, a shah that killed an Eved without Kavana, patim is Shloshim Shkalim. He's exempt from Shloshim Shkalim. So Amalei, so he says, I don't understand. Gavra Karamis, you're asking from Reish Lakish on Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan doesn't hold that way. Ki asa Ravin Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Indeed, when Ravin arrived, he said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Eved Matam Ulayim. He could have just said Eved. Im Eved, L'Rabbis Eved Shloi B'Kavana, that if the Eved is killed by the shah while he was aiming for an animal, Ke Eved B'Kavana. Says the Gemara, why does Reish Lakish not learn that way? Reish Lakish Nami name with the Eved Im Eved. Let him learn out with the Eved Im Eved. Let him learn out from the extra Im that it's Yechayiv Shloishim even if the axe was without Kavana and is not put to death. So the Gemara says Im Eved Loi Darish. He doesn't darshan it. So the Gemara says, so then why does he darshan Kaifer Im Kaifer? Kaifer Im Kaifer Nami Loi Darish. But Reish Lakish doesn't argue about that. Reish Lakish agrees with the statement that even if the shark killed somebody, Shaloi B'Chavani, you're Chayiv Kaifer. So why Im Kaifer he darshans, but Im Eved he doesn't darshan? Says the Gemara, Reish Lakish Nami name him the Eved Im Eved Loi Darish. So Kaifer Nami Loi Darish. So the Gemara says Emrei Loi. Eved Im Eved Loi Darish, but Kaifer Im Kaifer Darish. Why? Or Maishna. Eved Im Eved, it doesn't say by payment, like Ksiv B'Makom Tashlumin. Kaifer Im Kaifer Yushas Alav, it says Ksiv B'Makom Tashlumin, and therefore, since it's written B'Makom Tashlumin, we darshan it to tell you that even if the shark killed someone without Kavana and is not put to death, there's still a payment of Kaifer. Now, the pasuk says, first the Mishnah says that also if it kills a minor daughter or a minor son or a minor daughter, the shar is also put to death. So the Gemara says, Tana Rabbanan, Oy ben yigach, oy bas yigach, if it kills a child, boy, or a child, girl, that's coming l'chayev ala ketanim kigdolim, to be mechayev the shar with death, whether it's a adult or a minor. Says the Gemara, why do I need a pasuk for that? V'aloi dinhu. we should be able to learn it out from a Kal V'chaimer. First, we could learn it out from a Mamatzino. Mamatzino means it's analogous. Hayil v'chayev adam ba'adam. If a man kills another man, the man is put to death. V'chayev shar ba'adam. Ma kishechayev adam ba'adam. In the case of murder, lo yishna bein ketanim l'gedailim. There's no difference whether he kills an adult or a minor. We learn that out because the pasuk says ki yake kol nefesh adam, any nefesh adam. After shechayev shar ba'adam lo yitachlik by bein ketanim l'gedailim. And besides being what we call a mamatzinu, an analogy also known as a binyan av, we could even make it more powerful. The oid kal v'chaimu, uma adam ba'adam. When the murderer is a minor, it's not the same as the murderer that's an adult, right? Because the murderer that's a minor is pater. Yet when you kill, it's the same a minor as an adult. By a shar, where it makes no difference if the assailant is young or old. Shar, b'adam, sha'isa by ketanim kikdailim. It makes no difference whether the assailant is a minor or an adult. Surely you should be chayiv whether the victim is young or old. So why does it have to say oy ben yigach, oy bas yigach? So the Gemara says, loy. When a man kills another man, there it's more severe because you're chayiv also not just for nezek. You're chayiv dalad dvarim. You're chayiv for tzari b'sheves and b'ishes. Shekein chayiv b'arba dvarim. Tomer b'shar she'eino chayiv dalad dvarim. And therefore, maybe we don't say that a minor you're chayiv. Talmud leimer oy ben yigach oy bas yigach lechayiv ala ketanim kigdolim. And we're just going to pause a minute to change the channel over here.